My name is Eleanor Ward, and I turned 71 today. I didn't celebrate it. I folded at the kitchen sink, my cheek against the cool linoleum, the faucet ticking like a metronome over my breathing. I could smell the lemon soap and the faint sour of old milk. The house didn't answer back. No one did. I tried my daughter first. Clara always says she's in back-to-back meetings, a phrase that sounds like a hallway with no doors. I pressed her name. The call rang and rang. I watched the screen tremble in my hand and told myself not to take it personally. It's just a busy Thursday. It's just the ordinary kind of silence that gets fat and heavy when a birthday falls on it. A flutter started under my ribs, quick and mean. I sat down on the floor so I wouldn't fall farther. My pill cutter sat open on the counter, one pale tablet split into two careful moons to make the prescription stretch to the end of the month. The sight annoyed me, as if thrift had betrayed me. I should have taken the whole thing yesterday. I should have asked for help. I should have done 1,000 brave, reasonable things that felt too loud to do. I opened messages and typed what I would never say out loud. I don't feel right. Please call me. I meant to send it to Clara again, to give her one more chance to be my girl. The old threads blurred. I hit send and watched the tiny blue bubble sail off to the wrong name, a name I hadn't looked at in more than 10 years. The room tipped. Somewhere between the sink and the floor, a question rose and burned. If love is real, why does it act like it has office hours? I closed my eyes on that and let the phone lie humming beside me, as if it knew a stranger now carried my birthday. When I opened my eyes, the ceiling above me was pale and flat, a color that didn't exist in homes, only in hospitals. A soft beeping marked the seconds. My chest hurt where the seatbelt of panic had gripped it. Someone's shoes squeaked nearby. A nurse leaned over me, her voice light but tired. "Good morning, Ms. Ward. You had quite a fall." I swallowed. "Where am I?" "Cedar Ridge Medical. You were dehydrated. Your blood pressure dropped. We've got fluids running now." She adjusted the tube at my wrist. "Do you want us to call anyone for you?" "My daughter," I said, because that was what you're supposed to say. "Clara Ward." She smiled kindly. "We'll try her." Then she moved away, leaving the smell of hand sanitizer and something floral. I lay still, staring at the ceiling. The clock on the wall said 3:07 p.m. Hours since I'd collapsed in my kitchen. My phone was on the tray beside the bed, screen dark. No missed calls, no messages. Just the reflection of an old woman who'd hoped her birthday might mean something. I unlocked it anyway, because habit is stronger than hope. There it was, the message I'd meant for Clara. "I don't feel right. Please call me." Sent to the wrong person. The name above it stopped my breath. Evan. My grandson. Her son. The door opened. A tall man stood there, hair darker now, but eyes the same clear blue I remembered from a childhood photograph. "Grandma?" His voice was careful, as if he wasn't sure the words still belonged to him. I tried to sit up, and he hurried forward. "Take it easy," he said. His hand was warm on my shoulder. "You texted me. I came straight here." "I sent it by mistake," I said, embarrassed by the crack in my voice. "It was meant for your mother." He smiled, small and genuine. Then it was a good mistake. I hadn't seen him in more than 10 years. Back then, he was still a boy who built toy forts under my kitchen table, while Clara called from her office to say she was too busy to pick him up. Now he looked like the kind of man who didn't need rescuing. There was kindness in his face, but caution too. The doctor came in, a brisk, friendly man with a clipboard and a wedding ring that gleamed when he gestured. He explained dehydration, low sodium, stress. "You should take your medications as prescribed," he said. Cutting pills in half isn't safe. I was stretching them, I admitted. They're expensive. He gave me that practiced half smile of people who see too much. Your insurance covers refills. Let's make sure your pharmacy updates that. Then he left with a rustle of paper. Evan sat again, elbows on his knees. You're still in the same house? He asked. Yes, I said. Clara takes care of the bills and taxes. She's very organized. He looked unconvinced. Do you handle your accounts at all? I don't need to. She moved everything online. I tried to sound proud, as if digital life were an achievement we shared. He nodded slowly. I work at a bank now, fraud department. I see a lot of, families who mix money and care. It gets complicated. Clara would never take advantage, I said too quickly. He held up his hands. I'm not saying she would. Just, sometimes it helps to check. Something in his tone, gentle but professional, made me want to change the subject. How's your job? I asked. Do you like it? I do, he said, but I've missed you. The words were quiet, almost an afterthought, but they filled the room like sunlight. When the nurse returned with discharge papers, Evan signed where I couldn't hold the pen steady. I'll drive you home, he said. I didn't argue. The idea of someone else steering was a relief. Outside, late afternoon light flashed off windshields and glass. He helped me into his car, steadying me as if I were something fragile but valuable. The drive was short. Houses rolled by, lawns half-cut, mailboxes leaning. Neither of us spoke until he turned onto my street. Still looks the same, he said. It hasn't had the energy to change, I replied, and he laughed softly. When we reached the driveway, I noticed the porch light flicker on, the timer Clara had installed years ago. For safety, she'd said, though she hadn't visited since Christmas 3 years back. Evan carried my bag and opened the door. The air inside held its usual blend of lemon soap and loneliness. He set the bag on the counter, then opened the refrigerator without asking. You've got milk, mustard, and 2 eggs, he said. I was going to shop tomorrow, he frowned. You shouldn't have to plan around 2 eggs. I like to keep things simple. He found a can of soup in the cupboard. Mind if I heat this? Be my guest. The kitchen filled with the smell of sodium and comfort. He poured the soup into a bowl and slid it toward me. Happy birthday, he said. The spoon clinked against the rim. How did you... You mentioned it in one of your old letters, he said. I remember. We ate in silence, the kind that holds more questions than words can carry. Finally, he asked, Do you get much mail these days? Clara handles it, I said. Everything goes to her house. Easier that way. He nodded again, but his eyes stayed on me a second too long. Maybe tomorrow we can sort through whatever's here, just to make sure nothing important got lost. Lost? I repeated. She's meticulous. I'm sure she is, he said gently. The same way a nurse reassures you before taking blood. After dinner, he washed the bowls, dried them, and looked around the small kitchen as if memorizing it. You've kept it nice, he said. But maybe we could check your account sometime. I can help make sure you're getting all your benefits. I wanted to tell him not to fuss, that Clara already managed everything. But the way he said benefits, calm, professional, protective, made me pause. He wasn't questioning my daughter out of spite. He was reading between the numbers, the way people in his line of work do. When he left that night, the porch light clicked off behind him, and I stood at the window watching his taillights fade down the street. The silence of the house returned, heavier now that it had briefly lifted. I sat at the kitchen table and touched the phone still lying there. No new messages from Clara, only the old ones, short Efficient notes about bills and doctor appointments. Never about me. I scrolled back to the one from earlier, the wrong text that had brought Evan back into my life. The blue bubble glowed against the dark screen like something trying to remind me of itself. Maybe, I thought, mistakes aren't always accidents. Sometimes they're invitations. And for the first time in years, I didn't delete a message. I let it stay. Small proof that someone out there had answered when I fell. Morning light slid across my kitchen table, making the crumbs on its surface look like dust motes caught in confession. Evan sat opposite me with a cup of coffee, his sleeves rolled, a man ready to fix things that didn't know they were broken. He had stayed the night at a small motel nearby, said he wanted to check on me in case your blood pressure tries any more tricks. I didn't argue. The house felt less brittle with another heartbeat inside it. He pulled a small pile of envelopes from his satchel and spread them out. "These came to Mom's address," he said. "She sent them over a while back, but they never got opened." The stack looked ordinary: utility bills, insurance statements, a letter from Social Security, but each one carried my name in tidy print. I felt my stomach tighten. "I thought Clara paid these automatically," I said. "Maybe she does," he said carefully, opening the top envelope, his brow furrowed. "This one says your property tax is overdue, 2 quarters behind. That can't be right. She told me she handled that online." He slid the letter across the table. "See for yourself." The numbers sat there, blunt and undeniable. My name, my address, my unpaid balance. Shame prickled the back of my neck. Evan reached for the next envelope. "This one's from your bank." He hesitated, then met my eyes. "Grandma, did you authorize anyone to make changes to your account?" "Yes. Clara's had power of attorney since your grandfather passed. It's just paperwork." "Paperwork gives access," he said quietly. "I checked a few details on the statements. Some of these withdrawals don't look like you're spending." "What do you mean?" He pointed to a line item, a transfer to an account I didn't recognize. $5,000 at a time. "This happens every few weeks." My throat tightened. "Clara said she was consolidating things for taxes." He folded the paper, his voice steady but sad. "I think she's been moving your money." "Grandma." I stared at the refrigerator, at the magnets that held faded pictures of Clara as a child, smiling in innocence. The air in the room thickened. Outside, a mail truck rumbled past and stopped at the end of the street. The sound made me flinch. For the first time, I wondered who had been reading my mail all these years, and what else I hadn't seen. That afternoon, Evan sat at my old desk, his laptop open among piles of papers that had lived too long in drawers. The glow of the screen lit his face, calm but focused. I hovered in the doorway, clutching a cup of tea that had gone cold hours ago. "Grandma," he said, without looking up, "your account shows 2 regular transfers to Clara's business account. Not a joint one, hers alone." I gripped the edge of the doorframe. "Maybe she's just moving funds temporarily." He exhaled, the way people do when they don't want to say something cruel. "There's over $500,000 gone in the past decade, insurance payouts, the proceeds from your old house, even your Social Security deposits, all rerouted." The room seemed to shrink. My husband's framed Navy photo hung crookedly above the desk. "She said the insurance money was tied up in investments," I murmured. "She said it was growing." Evan turned the laptop toward me. Graphs and numbers filled the screen, proof that love could be documented in losses. "It's not growing. It's gone." I sank into the nearest chair. How could she do this? To her own mother? "Debt," he said softly. "I ran a credit pull on her. She's got heavy balances, some gambling charges. high-interest loans. She's been using your money to stay afloat. My chest tightened again, though this time it wasn't from low sodium. You shouldn't have checked her records. I had to, he said. If you'd signed those authorizations under false pretenses, that's elder financial abuse. It's criminal. The word criminal cracked through the air like a branch splitting under weight. I covered my face with both hands. I don't want her in trouble. She's still my daughter. He crouched beside me. I know, but she crossed a line. You deserve protection. I wanted to believe he was wrong. I wanted the numbers to rearrange themselves into something kind, but they just glared back, cold, mathematical, honest. Let me report it to Adult Protective Services, he said. They'll guide the next steps. I stared at the pile of unopened letters, the stack of bills she'd promised to handle. My voice came out smaller than I meant. What happens if I say yes? Then you start getting your life back, he said. I nodded, and the decision, once made, felt like the sound of a door finally locking. The next morning, the air in the kitchen felt different, thicker, charged. I hadn't slept much. Evan was already dressed, his jacket slung over a chair, phone in hand. They'll send an officer from Adult Protective Services this afternoon, he said gently, just to take your statement. My stomach turned. She'll find out, won't she? Clara. He nodded. Eventually. But you'll be safe first. Safe. I had always thought safety meant letting someone else handle things. But now I saw how easily comfort turns into a cage when you stop checking the locks yourself. By noon, Clara arrived unannounced, her perfume announcing her before her voice did. Mom, she said sharply, stepping into the kitchen like she owned it. Why is Evan snooping through your papers? You know how confusing these things can be for you. Her tone, sweetness stretched over steel, sent a chill through me. He was helping, I said quietly. Helping? Her eyes flicked to Evan. You've always had a flair for drama. Evan didn't rise to it. We found proof. Clara, transfers, unauthorized withdrawals. It's all right here. She laughed, brittle and fast. You've misunderstood. I was consolidating her funds, taxes, investments. You wouldn't understand. You're a child. I'm 30, he said, and I understand fraud. The word hung between them. She blinked, the color draining from her face. You think I'd steal from my own mother? I swallowed, forcing my voice to stay steady. I didn't want to believe it either. Mom, please, she said, voice cracking just enough to make me ache. I've kept everything running for you. The bills, the insurance, the house. Without me, you'd lose it all. Evan's phone buzzed. That'll be APS, he said. They're here. Clara's head snapped toward me. You called them? You actually called them on your own daughter? I felt something inside me settle, heavy and unmovable. I didn't call them. I agreed when he did. Because I can't live in confusion anymore. For a moment, the only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator. Then Clara's eyes filled with tears, not the kind that fall, but the kind that burn and make you blink too fast. You'll regret this, she whispered, then turned and slammed the door behind her. The silence she left behind wasn't peaceful. It rang in my ears like an alarm. Evan exhaled slowly. You did the right thing, he said. I nodded, though my throat burned. Then why does it feel like I just buried her alive? 2 weeks later, my kitchen was quieter than I'd ever known it. The calendar on the wall still showed the date of my birthday. I hadn't had the heart to tear the page away. APS had taken my statement. The police had come. And Clara's voice had echoed through every corner of the house in those first frantic days, pleading, bargaining, blaming. Then came the silence that follows when the truth no longer has a place to hide. Evan stopped by every evening. He brought groceries, helped me reset my online accounts, sat beside me as the bank officer guided me through passwords and new security questions. Each form we signed felt like another layer of air returning to the room. The day of the plea hearing. I wore my husband's navy cardigan, the one that always made me feel anchored. The courthouse was cold, fluorescent, indifferent. Clara stood at the defense table in a beige suit that looked too tight around the shoulders. Her hair was perfectly smooth, but her eyes darted everywhere except toward me. The judge summarized the case with the same calm rhythm a doctor uses to read test results. Unauthorized transfers, elder financial exploitation, total restitution owed $487,000. Clara's lawyer spoke of stress, poor judgment, and love expressed badly. When it was her turn to speak, Clara's voice trembled. "I never meant to hurt you. Mom, I was just trying to manage things. It got out of hand." I wanted to believe her. For one aching moment, I almost did. But then I remembered the envelopes, the overdrafts, the empty accounts. "You didn't hurt me because you manage things," I said quietly. "You hurt me because you decided I didn't need to know." The gavel came down, and it was done. She received 3 years probation, restitution payments, and 500 hours of community service. It sounded clinical, but the ache it left wasn't. As the courtroom emptied, Clara finally looked at me. There was no hate there, only exhaustion, the look of someone who had built her life out of panic and run out of room. Outside, Evan walked me to the car. "You did the right thing," he said. "I know," I whispered. "But right doesn't always feel good." He squeezed my hand. "Good doesn't always start right away." As we drove home, I watched the city slide past the window, the same streets Clara used to drive, now stripped of trust but somehow cleaner. I thought of my husband's old saying, "Truth doesn't rescue you, it releases you." For the first time in years, I felt the air move easily in my lungs. Spring came slow that year, like someone remembering how to be gentle. The snow retreated from my backyard in small, embarrassed patches, and the ground smelled like rain and old promises. Evan came by every Tuesday after work, carrying groceries and stories that filled the house the way laughter used to. We started planting tomatoes together, his idea. He said it was financial therapy, cheaper than counseling and easier to track progress. I wasn't sure at first. My hands ached, and the soil felt foreign after so many years of paper and screens. But the first time a tiny green shoot pushed through, I felt something move inside me too, something that had been asleep for a long while. Our Tuesday dinners became a ritual: roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and coffee strong enough to start a tractor. Evan would talk about his job, the fraud cases he handled, the clients he helped recover their savings. Sometimes I'd listen, sometimes I'd just watch him, grateful that his voice filled the spaces Clara's silence used to haunt. One evening, he handed me a small brown envelope. "These came back from the bank," he said. "The restitution payments. They've started." I looked at the check inside, the numbers neat and sterile. It wasn't the money that made my throat tighten. It was the proof that something broken could still be mended, even if imperfectly. I asked if he'd heard from Clara. He nodded once. "She's doing her community service, teaching financial literacy classes. The court made it part of her hours." The irony made me smile, a small, sad curve. "I hope she learns something." "I think she already has," he said softly. "She asked me to tell you she's sorry." The apology didn't fix the years she'd taken from me, but it reached me anyway. like a faint echo across a long valley. "Maybe one day," I said. "Not today, but maybe." That night, after he left, I went into my bedroom and pulled the old shoebox from under the bed, the one filled with letters I'd never mailed. I took the top one, dated from a winter long past, and slipped it into a drawer. Some stories don't need to be sent. They just need to be kept safe. Outside. The porch light flicked on, and the garden waited quietly in the dusk. I stood by the window, watching the first tomato blossoms sway in the breeze, and whispered the words I'd learned too late but just in time. Love isn't control. Family isn't ownership. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these family drama and revenge stories, please subscribe and join me for more every day.